Hello everyone, I'm here today to do the Mid-Year Book Freakout tag, which I believe I was tagged in like months ago by Haley from Haley Reads, but I just haven't gotten to doing the tag and now I'm finally here. I mean, is it really still mid-year? No, mid-year would have been like July, June. First question is the best book you've read so far this year. Some of them are Into Thin Air, which I've talked about on my channel multiple times already. Into Thin Air is, of course, about climbing Mount Everest and a disaster that happened in 1996 when they were climbing. If you're someone that doesn't really like nonfiction as much, this is a really good starting point into nonfiction because it is definitely a page-turner. The other book that could also go in this is Kindred by Octavia E. Butler. This book I also found very different and fascinating, and I really do recommend if you're trying to read something that's kind of suspenseful and also has some time traveling, which is really cool. The second question is the best sequel you've read so far this year, and this is without a doubt the second Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants book. This so far is my favorite in the series. I've read 3 so far. This one is just the one that really touched me, really made me cry so much, and really made me feel like I connected with every single one of these characters. I still need to read the last book. The third question is a new release you haven't read yet, and for this one, like the other questions, I have kind of several books that I could talk about. Obviously, The Underground Railroad by Colson Whitehead, which has been much acclaimed. I also heard him being interviewed by Terry Gross on Fresh Air, and I really enjoyed that interview as well. Another book that I've been like, really, I need to read this book right now is The Nest, and I think this is the book that I'm going to try to get from the library next, like the next actual fiction book, like not a graphic novel, which is all I've been reading from the library lately. I'm really intrigued by the fact that there's kind of family relationships that are focused on in it, and also kind of money being thrown into that, and like family issues because of that. The fourth question is most anticipated read from the second half of the year. I'm not really the type of person that like waits for books and like anticipates them, like new releases. I don't really have an answer for this. I even like tried to look up titles that are coming out the second half of the year. I just really didn't have anything for this question. The next question is biggest disappointment that you've read so far this year, and I have many to put here. I don't know if it's biggest, but here are some of my disappointments. Ready Player One, which I have talked about extensively on this channel, and you guys know my thoughts about Ready Player One not being as great as the hype really was, and kind of corny at times, and not really my cup of tea. Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, which is much beloved, and it's going to be made into a movie. I thought, yeah, let me read it before the movie comes out, and I just could not get through this book. It just was not for me. Another one that I talked about many times on my channel too is Me Before You, which was super hyped. Everybody loved this book, said it made them cry, and just from a writing perspective, I didn't really enjoy it. I didn't really like the characters. For number 6, the question is biggest surprise, and for this one, without a doubt, I thought The Decoding of Lana Moyes, and this is kind of a really old YA book that I had had on me for many years, and I had bought a really long time ago, and I kind of kept it around because it was hardback, and I was like, maybe I'll read it one day, and I finally did read it. It might have been for Rainbow-thon that I read it. I thought it wasn't going to be good at all, like I thought I might not even finish it, but I found that I really enjoyed the story, I really enjoyed the main characters, and I really enjoyed the magical realism that is focused on in the book. Magical realism is definitely a genre that I want to read more of. No, no, and no. Okay, number 1, people just walked by, and number 2, there's bees on my window. No, and no, no. Yeah, that happened. Let me just finish filming this, and I'm going straight to the office. Okay, question number 7, favorite new author. For this question, I definitely thought Brashares is definitely one of my new favorite authors. I really fell in love with the way she writes. I fell in love with her characters and kind of the way she sets up stories and the way that they're told. Number 8 is newest fictional crush, and I don't really get crushes on characters because I don't read as much romance, and I don't read many stories where characters are like doing cute things that I would think are cute. But the one that came to mind, and probably the only one, is the third book of the Sisterhood of the Trailing Pants. Carmen is the one that has a love interest that I really enjoyed. I believe his name is Finn. This is the fourth book. That's why I'm confused. It's this one. Oh, sorry, his name is Win. It's not Finn, it's Win. The ninth question is new fave character, and for this one I kind of just said all the characters in Locke and Key, the graphic novel by Jill Hill. Basically read all of them in January. I fell in love with Kinsey and Bode, or Bodhi, however you say his name. Every character on it was really interesting and well developed for it being a graphic novel of only 6 volumes. And so if you haven't read Locke and Key and you kind of like good character development, kind of creepy and supernatural happenings, definitely recommend Locke and Key. One of the best, if not the best, graphic novel series I've ever read. For number 10, the question is a book that made you cry. Definitely the one and only Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. The first time that I read the 6th book was this year, and it has been basically the only book that has made me like really cry. Like even just after I was done and just thinking about what happened made me cry still. The 7th book made me cry as well, but for different reasons. More like I was leaving this world, not necessarily because of what was happening, because the majority of things had already been spoiled for me anyway. For number 11, the question is a book that made you happy, and for this one I knew right away I had to go for Yes Please by Amy Poehler, which was probably the funniest and most just in general positive book that I've read this year. There were definitely some deeper topics that she explored in her memoir, but the majority of them were very happy-go-lucky, as you would expect Amy Poehler to act. She's just a nice person to hear stories from, and because she has a positive outlook on life, and she seems like a really good friend and a really good mom. It was the book that I was hearing on an audiobook, and I was just like smiling ear to ear as I was driving hearing this book. For number 12, it's the most beautiful book you've bought. I haven't bought that many books this year, and so I didn't really know what to pick for this one. In my last video, Bree, who I'll link down below, said she really liked the cover of Firefly Lane, which I agree with, but I didn't really, I like looked through my books and I wasn't like, yeah, that's the one that I think is really beautiful that I bought. They haven't been that beautiful. What's important is what's on the inside of the book, right? Right. Number 13 is what books you need to read, so like kind of what's left on your TBR for the rest of the year. I have on here all the rest of the most anticipated books that I told myself I was going to read this year. I have some here for you to see, like What It Takes. I haven't read this yet, guys. It's still sitting there waiting for me. I really want to finish the last Sisterhood of the Trailing Pants books. And another book I really want to finish by the end of the year is The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks, which I mentioned in my last video. This is one of the books that I've been really looking into and like have been wanting for a long time. Number 14, favorite book community members. I'll have to mention Haley, who's the one that tagged me to do this video. And then I'll leave all these people's links down below. Also Bree, who I've been watching recently and who I've been commenting back and forth with. Obviously Vanessa, who I always watch. I'll put a few other people that I really enjoy in the down bar so you can check them out. I'm sure you already watched them because we all watch kind of the same people. That's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching my video, and hopefully the next time I film there are no more bees and there are no more random people walking around. I'll see you in my next video. Bye bye. I'm so serious about these beads. They might be wasps, really.